Hi again. On today's live, I want to talk about upping your customer service game and share with you a model from the great Ron Kaufman. A model will help you see customer service through your customer's eyes, and it really underpins the whole customer service philosophy. And the model is the 6 levels of customer service. And what I would suggest is that once you've seen the model and how great it is, so it becomes front and center of your universe going forward, you might like to get it tattooed to your eyelids on the inside, obviously. Now, if you were to ask 100 business owners, why should I pick your business, not your competitors? I'd be confident that over 90% of them would somewhere in the reply have the words, we give good service, or words that are reflective of that idea. But here's the question, good service compared to what? Surely good service is just entry-level stuff. So therefore, it's not a differentiator, is it? Also, I said I believe that 90% of the businesses would give the same answer. And if pretty much everybody's saying it, then that's no point of difference either, is it? I just want to point out that the 90%, by the way, it's not an exact figure. If I was to look deeper, I'm pretty sure that figure is going to be higher because the number does have gravitas. Because it is a question I ask everyone who wants to become one of my clients, because it points towards a really quick win for most people. Because if they haven't got a strong differentiation from their competition, they're almost certainly competing on price. And that's a race that nobody wants to win, because it's a race to the bottom. And that also means that if you apply what I share with you here today, you'll no longer be competing on price and you'll be able to put your prices up, which will improve your margins and your overall profitability. So it's happy days. Okay, so what we need to get, let's get into this. And what I need to do is I need to get that banner out of the way. I need to get me out of the way. So can somebody give me the thumbs up in the comments and let me know when you can see the presentation? So that should be the banner gone. And that means you should be able to see the presentation now. Someone give me the thumbs up. Okay, brilliant. Right, I love this quote from Sam Walton. Sam Walton started Walton's supermarkets over the States, and I believe at one stage, I don't know if they still do, they were the owners of Asda. The reason I love it is because it gets to the heart of this whole customer service philosophy. A lot of people think the reason that people switch allegiances or alliances to another business is because they've been offered a better price. But that's true in less than 10% of the cases. The real reason people switch alliances or allegiances is because of something called perceived indifference. Nearly 70% of people state that the reason they go elsewhere is their perception is that the business didn't care about them. And the 6 levels of service fixes that, because we tend to see customer service that we give through our own eyes. We did things on time, where we met the contractual terms that we agreed on. But that doesn't speak about it from the customer's perspective. And the 6 levels gives us that. It's a way of finding out what their perception is, what their experience about the service was that we provided. And the 6 levels of service is a language and a way of looking and understanding things from the client or the customer point of view. Now, we're not going to start off at the bottom level. I'll come back to those shortly. Instead, I want to start out with what happens if you do what you said you're going to do. You fulfill the conditions of your agreement with the customer. Now, we call that expected. And expected is pretty much customer satisfaction. But satisfaction is not good enough if you want to survive in business nowadays. And before we look at where we should be aiming for, I just want to look at the lower levels to which we should never want to drop. Now, if you do the minimum, get the job done, then that's basic. It's not particularly a good experience from the customer's point of view, and they're not likely to come back, and they're less likely to go away and tell positive stories about you. And it could be that something you could have been late with the order. It could be that your people weren't very polite. It might be that your customer had to chase you for their order, or they had to chase you for an update on the order. And those are the types of things that customers just don't expect to do. And if we go below that level, then you've violated the legitimate minimum expectation. And you haven't kept your service promises, and that level is criminal. You haven't even delivered the bare minimum. Now, this is rogue trader territory. And if you're rogue trader, you could end up becoming a TV star for all the wrong reasons. And that's not a place you want to be in the hearts and minds of any customer. So what we need to do now is leap up above expected, where you're serving somebody the way they like it, and the way they hope for the service to be provided, the way they prefer it, the way they desire it. Now, the big distinction here is that you're providing the same outcome for all your customers, but the way you're serving them is the way they prefer to be served. So you can't say this is the way we do things around here and have that equate to everyone is getting the service the way they desire, because what you need to notice is that desire is not in your world, it's in the customer's world. The fifth level of service is called surprising. It's when you do something unexpected and they like it. It's like getting an unexpected gift. The challenge with this one is that not everybody values the same thing. And what smart business owners realize is they need to understand this, and they go out of the way to discover how the individual customer wants to be served. And then, once they've done that, they can go one step above that to the final level, which is where you blow them away. It's where service is unbelievable. It's wow, it's outstanding. And customers can't wait to tell other people about it. They write and tell stories about it. This is the level of service where it's possible to achieve a referral-based business. Now, a really important distinction I want you to become aware of about this, or about these 6 levels, is they're not a set of steps or a set of stairs. As you'll notice on the slide, it's an escalator, and it's an escalator that's always going down, which means the thing that you did that was unbelievable yesterday is only unbelievable the first time you do it. If you do it again, it might be a nice surprise. Then you do it again, it becomes what they desire. You do it again, it becomes expected. And eventually, it's just basic. And what you'll find is every other bugger's doing it as well. And if you don't do it, then it's criminal. And because of the fact that these 6 levels of customer service and the escalator is always headed down, there may be times when one of your, should we call, perception points falls below the expectations of your customers. And you can be proactive and anticipate their experience and manage their expectations. And to do that, you do that by making a clear service promise. And then you keep it. Then you make another clear promise and you keep it again. And you do this over and over and over again when you serve your customers. And over time, what you'll do is you'll build a reputation for reliability and you'll create a reservoir of goodwill. So that's the 6 levels, and I'm sure you'll agree it's magic stuff. And what I want to do is I just want to bring myself back out of this view and give you another point, another idea, or another great idea for how you might want to go about serving customers, or an idea for serving customers. Just let me just bring myself up. Get out of that view. Actually, it's going to be me banner back if that's all right. Actually, I've noticed that someone's just put in a chat, what's the minimum level of service we should be aiming for? A good question. I thought I did point out in the presentation, but maybe I didn't say it loud enough. I would suggest that you've got to at least serving someone at the desired level, and you've got to be doing that at a consistent level, because consistency is key. And to have consistency, you need to have solid systems in place and people trained to use those systems. And then once you've got the foundation for consistency, desired service, then be looking at ways of moving your customers and your clients up to and into surprising, and then into outstanding. Now, some of you might say, well, this is just common sense, isn't it? And that's true. It is. But the challenge is, or the challenge with common sense is, it's just not that common, is it? Consider this. How often do you get service at your desired level? And my guess is it's not that often. So desired and above service is common sense, but it's just not common practice. And that gives you a huge opportunity. It gives everybody a huge opportunity. So the key to this is not necessarily to be outstanding all the time. That's pretty tough to do. It's to be consistent with doing a little bit extra. And all those little bit extras start to add up and compound into something greater than parts. With that in mind, what I want you to consider is that every customer relationship that you have, you've got an emotional bank account with them, which is a bit like a bit of a balancing act, you know. And when you give a customer what they desire, that is what I call a +1. You put some goodwill in the bank account, and what you do is you tip the balance in your favour. And the reason you've done that is because a vast majority of businesses aren't giving customers what they desire. And every time you give what they desire, or you give them more +1s, the higher the level of more +1s, the more you tip that emotional bank account in your favour. So it's tipping this way. And you need it tipping that way because when things don't go to plan, and that will happen, a customer will make a big withdrawal from the account. And effectively, you're starting from scratch again. And what can happen is that before you build up the account, if things don't go to plan again, the balance of the account really then tips in the opposite direction. And most often, and more often than not, actually, you're going to lose the customer. And what you've got to remember is that your competition is always courting your customers. They're always flashing their eyes at your customers. So watch out for that balance. And if a customer account is suddenly getting depleted, ask yourself what's changed. So it could be something like you've got new personnel on board that need more training. It could be that people are not using your system. It could be that your system needs improving. It could be that you started attracting the wrong type of customer. You need to get to the root cause of this, because losing a customer is really costly. And if you get customer complaints, you want to be really happy about that. You really do want to be happy about customer complaints, because it gives you the opportunity to do a post-mortem, find out what went wrong, and then fix it before it becomes habitual within your business. Now, thinking on what I'll do is in next week's live, I'll share with you other ways to increase customer loyalty, but also ways to increase the amount your customers spend with you. It's going to be great. So I'll see you then. See you next week.